Your mother was a hamster and your father smelled the bell.
Shut up and sit down.
The current state of politics is unsustainable, politically, economically.
You still have distrust there.
We all come from very different places.
Man, we don't want the government to do a damn thing.
We deserve better.
People have to have the information in front of them.
It is about supporting, platforming, and assisting the people who are out here actually doing the fight.
There you go. Like, just promote people who are doing something. Volunteer to work with people who you like. And
just take an issue that's important to you and do something.
You are part of that declaration against tyranny.
This conversation gives me a little more hope for the future.
The one, the only
Fight for Liberty. This is the cherry on top.
What's up, fighters? Welcome back to another episode of Fight for Liberty. Today we have an awesome guest. You just saw him in that intro in the last clip, and I am super excited to have him back. But before we get into that and I talk all about how awesome he is, we're going to talk about a little bit about how awesome Blood of Tyrants wine is. So this show, just like every other show, is sponsored by Blood of Tyrants wine. And if you want to defeat your enemies while enjoying a nice night in and enjoying some beautiful wine, you should go on over to bloodoftyrants.wine and order like 7 or 8 bottles right now. Don't be a cheapo and get just one. You know you're going to want a second one once it's gone, and you don't want to wait for the shipping. So get like 7. It's a good number. And then while you're at it, you're going to go on over to nuggofknowledge.com and get some weed, because you don't want to get drunk without weed, and you don't want to get high without getting drunk. So just buy them both. It's a great system. But without further ado, we have an awesome guest. Again, like I said, we're going to bring him up right now. His name is Jason Lyon. He is the host of Mr. Bearded Truth on Muddied Waters Media, and I'm blaming him and the rest of his cohort over there for every single technical difficulty tonight. Jason, welcome to the show.
It's an honor. I'm glad I could bring all of the tech issues with me. I know it's been it's your audience doesn't get to know this, but now I'm going to let them in on this. The fight to get to Fight for Liberty tonight has been it's been going a couple rounds. So here we are live, and I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me back, man.
Yeah, thank you for coming. So I'm just going to jump right into it. You are the council lead at You Are the Power. And Spike Cohen has come on here and talked a little bit about You Are the Power, but not too much. So this is pretty much the show's introduction to the concept. So tell us what You Are the Power is, and kind of how it started and how you became a part of it.
Yeah, so imagine, if you will, a world where people don't have problems. That's the vision. But no, on a serious note, so we understand that a world that works in your interest is one that people are held accountable, that there's transparency, that people are able to work with one another in order to really unleash their potentials. And so this idea, this concept, is the driving force behind You Are the Power. So imagine a network of people across this country that love and care for everyone across their communities, that are coming together with ideas to shout out things that need to be changed, to lift up people who are making a positive impact in their community, and just being the change that we all want to see. So that's in essence what You Are the Power is. We come out there with this network to help bring about the change, to lift up our community members, to teach people about what they need to know so that they can be better equipped to make differences in their communities, whether that's on the legislative side within their communities, or just literally the people on their own street. So it's been one hell of a ride this far. It's a new organization, 2022, that got kick-started off, And you know, we're already hitting all the different states. We're building up. We've got causes and events going on around the nation, and we're gonna keep building these things out. And it's all built by people like you, people like me. You know, not necessarily anybody grandiose, but just the common.
Hey,
people
speak for
caring
yourself.
about
I'm
one another.
awesome.
I mean, I made it to your intro, so I mean, I think I get a claim to fame there. So
that is true.
But it's just this yearning for a difference, for a change. And this isn't a partisan thing. This isn't a libertarian thing. This is just people in a part of our community saying, it's about time we bring about this change. And we talk about these things all the time. We talk about the necessity of, like, you know, holding people accountable, stopping bad bills. You Are the Power is the way to get empowered to be able to make those changes. I can't speak highly enough of this organization, and it's just in its infancy years.
So how did they rope you into it?
So for me, you know, I've been a fan of Spike since when I met him back in, I don't know if that was 2017. I think it was 2017 or 2018. But whenever that was, you know, I was just a little podcaster doing my thing, talking about things, being like, you know, maybe I'm not this conservative. Maybe I am one of those radical, crazy people that thinks taxation is theft, and maybe I am a libertarian. And so Spike and Matt reached out to me and they said, hey, you stream on Tuesday nights, we stream on Tuesday nights, let's see what we can do to build this together. And then it was just like, you know what, screw that, let's stop building together separately, come on to Muddy Waters. So I became a huge fan of Matt and Spike, and built with them within Muddy Waters for you know, many years. And so Spike decides one day, you know what, I'm gonna run for vice president of the United States. And many of your audience, of course, knows about that story and the successes that garnered. I mean, just getting the eyes and ears of thousands of people across the country anytime he opened his mouth. And so from that, he was like, it's great to have a podcast. It's great to sit here and to talk to people, but what can we do more? And so Spike started this off, and I was like, hey, Spike, here's some ideas. I've got some ideas to help you out with this new idea, this You Are the Power. How can I help you? I want to assist you. I don't care. Do you need a fluffer? Like, what do you need? Because I see this being successful, and I want to be a part of it. And so as things started coming together, you know, they were a lot of people in the background who just simply cannot get enough of the credit for what You Are the Power has become just today, let alone what it'll become next week and next month. You know, like Brian Scott Lambrick and Myra and Sierra and Nolik and Jenny and so many of these people, they, you know, eventually they were like, you know, we need to build a council. And so yes, I'm now lead councilman, which literally means nothing. Being the lead of anything in any libertarian founded organization literally means nothing. But they were like, we need somebody who's going to sit down, ask the hard questions, vet stories and events and things of that nature to make sure that we're going to go in the right direction from a public relations standpoint. And so they were like, Jason, does this sound like something you'd be interested in? Do you want to be on the council? And I was like, sure, that sounds like fun. I would love to sit down and do all this stuff. So I signed up for it, and sure enough, I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's absolutely heartbreaking to hear these stories from across the way of people in need and people struggling, and to know that without action, you know, these people feel helpless. And so given the opportunity to do this stuff, they were like, do you want to be the hard ass? Do you want to be the guy that says yes or no and work through this? And so I'm one of those guys that's sitting on this panel and helping find these good causes, finding good people that are just in the rut because of government regulation, because of control, because of police brutality, you know, just down on their luck and you know, in the circumstance of not having a home at the time, and being able to help them. It's the most heartbreaking thing, but it's also the most fulfilling thing you can do, because when you get those causes and you can see people's lives change in front of your eyes, there's nothing better in the world. So it's been an incredibly honorable and a blessing for me to be a part of this. And you know, my whole thing is that I want somebody better to come up and fill my shoes, make me be retired because I'm useless and I'm just terrible at what I do. But I want to put this organization first every day, and so that's all I do.
That's fantastic. I am similarly have been watching this pretty much from its inception. Got to talk to Spike a little bit about it before it was more than an idea, and have been extremely excited about it and watching it kind of grow. And you know, there was a little bit of a time there where it was slow to grow and frustrating, but now that it's actually like there and happening, and you guys are out helping dozens of people all over the country, it's really awesome. Tell us like some of the more like highlight stories that you guys have helped out with.
So if you will, picture this: you're walking down the street and somebody says, "Hey, do you want this $10? Would you take it?"
Probably, yeah.
I probably would too. Well, if you were in Gastonia, North Carolina, and you did this, and your name happened to be Joshua Rohr, the police would come harass you, detain you, and then tase your dog. And ultimately, as a result of this interaction, your service dog was killed. This is, of course, Joshua Rohr, United States military veteran who served overseas for this country. And then from all of this, you know, they're not going to release any of the body cam footage, which they were wearing. They're not going to release any of the footage. They're not going to release anything like that. So You Are the Power, Spike Cohen, members of the group, members of the organization were coming out every month. And eventually we got the body cam released. And eventually we got some accountability there. You know, that's one of those causes that was just like, this is common sense, right? Mm-hmm. You don't just, because somebody accepted money from somebody else. He wasn't petitioning. He wasn't holding a sign up saying he's homeless. He was walking down the street. Somebody offered him money. So it's situations like that really speak out to people. Another one happens to be in Gastonia, North Carolina. We just recently was involved with. There was a ministry there, Peace, Love, and Hope. And it was Pastor Moses. So Pastor Moses, he had a calling from God, and he said, you know, my job, my duty, my whole being is here to help the people that are in the circumstance of not having a home right now. And so he opened up his church doors, as what many people call the church to do. And so he opened his church doors, and he was feeding people, and he was giving people a place to stay and a place of comfort and love and compassion. And the city of Gastonia decided that it was too much of an eyesore to have homeless people roaming around in these areas. And so they shut his doors for him. And so just over the course of one winter, there was about 30 homeless people that were killed or that had died during that time. And so eventually they got, just one little small town in North Carolina. So eventually they opened the government allowed for him to open his doors once again. And so we here at You Are the Power, we went out and showed up one day. We were raising money in order to bring in 2 trailers to park them on the lot behind the church. And so these trailers were to give them a warm place to sleep at night, a place where they can sit in community, and they can talk with one another, and they can build with one another, but also to be able to give them a place where they can learn, to get an education, to get a GED, to be able to learn about financial literacy, to be able to give them some skills and some tools so that they can once again move back into the real world, if you will, where they have better days ahead of them. And so we went out there to do a little fundraiser. We had the goal of $3,000 to be raised. And at the end of the day, Pastor Moses had, I think, close to $9,000 in his hand. You know, just an incredible outpouring of love and compassion from members of the You Are the Power and across the way. And it's things like this that, you know, that we speak to, that, you know, you don't have to be some magnificent person to be able to say, hey, I need some help with this. But Pastor Moses is, and if you've seen him, he's like 6'5", so he's just like an ungodly huge man. But you know, just doing a little bit for somebody out there, and just knowing somebody's name and just being there to support them and love them and cherish them. That's all that we're asking for, and we'll be there to help back you up. And so those were two of the big causes. We've got some causes coming up here soon, helping out with, you know, families that are in need of something as simple as like diapers. You know, right now I know you've got a little young one. I just my young one just got out of diaper, so we're so thankful to be through that phase. But for anyone who's never been a young parent, if you don't have, what is it, WIC? If you don't have WIC, the price of formula, the price of diapers, I mean, that's enough to tank your entire paycheck alone.
Oh yeah.
And then you still have to provide yourself with food and everything else. So going out there to find people in need to be able to give their kids a fresh, clean diaper, like something as little as that. It doesn't require more taxes. It doesn't require for anyone to break their own bank. It just says, hey, you know, if you've got a little bit extra and you don't mind throwing it towards this cause, you're going to make the world of a difference to somebody else. We've got stories, you know, one of the other success stories was Spike himself went down to, I believe the county is pronounced Manatee County, Florida. I think it's funny if it is Manatee. You know, he went down there and spoke to the city council the county council, and they were pushing a bill to outlaw abortion in a very aggressive manner, and something that even pro-life people wouldn't necessarily agree with. And Spike went down there and spoke on this just individually. Well, he did it as part of You Are the Power, but he spoke individually to the council and caused two of the Republicans on that council to flip their votes. Nice. I mean, you know, it's one of those things that it really doesn't matter in what way of life you are. It doesn't really matter where you're at in the world. It doesn't really matter kind of what your necessity is. You Are the Power probably in its 1 year of existence probably already has a success story some way related to that. If not, we have experience with I mean, we're well over 1,000 members already. We have experience in something that we can bring those successes, we can bring those experiences, we can work with, we can organize with, we can support, and we can help make a difference in anything and everything. So long story short, we've got a couple of great causes that we've been a part of.
I love it. Yeah, the diaper thing I can 100% relate to. I've got, like, we're at the stage now where my 3-year-old is pretty much just in pull-ups at night, and even sometimes we get to like reuse them, they'll come out clean. So we're almost done, but my wife is due in April, so like pretty much there's gonna be like maybe 2 or 3 weeks max of time where there's no diapers in the house, and then we're gonna be stocking up for the next one. So
you might as well start stocking up now. Just double it down.
Yeah.
It's gruesome. Well, with inflation, I mean, you might as well just start stocking them now. It's gonna be diapers are going to be costing more when you need them, so just go ahead and put that away now.
Yeah, we're just gonna like have an entire wall of their nursery just lined with boxes of diapers, in like all the sizes too. We're just never gonna need another diaper.
Take the insulation out of your wall, put the diapers in the wall, put the wall back up.
There we go.
There you go. Doubling up.
Oh my gosh. I remember following most of those stories though, and actually I'm gonna space on his name, and you just said it. The gentleman with the service dog. No, the other one.
Joshua Rohr.
Josh. Yeah. I remember it was really early into me meeting my wife. I was watching a live stream of Spike speaking at the city council back when they were still fighting to get the body cam footage released.
Yeah.
And it was the time that they like had a whole bunch of city employees just like packing the room so that you couldn't like actually fill up the room with You Are the Power people. And I was watching that live, and she was kind of watching it with me. She was like driving, and so kind of like half-assed, like listening to what was going on. And that was one of it, at least from my perspective, one of the key moments of her kind of switching and being like, I kind of like what this Spike dude is doing, and I understand why you like him so much and why you have so much respect for him, and like what you guys are really kind of doing. Because when she first met me, she still had like the typical opinion of anti-government people, that it's just kind of, you know, the edgy, obnoxious, like, yeah, I don't like rules. And like, it's not about that. It's about, I don't like rules that kill people or steal their stuff.
Yeah, exactly. It's just about like looking at these circumstances, looking at these situations and being like, is this truly necessary in the way that this is being played out? Like, we're not even going to the ideological of like, are these systems necessary? We're saying, are these tools that are being utilized, are they necessary? Are the way that they're working even what was being sold to the public as to why they were being implemented? And it's just going to those basic arguments of like, you know, we talk a lot about first principles and like first principles, of course, of libertarianism, but it's like also like looking at these from like a pragmatic standpoint. We're not trying to sell libertarianism to people. We're trying to sell people that we can see better things today. We can see better things tomorrow. And all it takes is a little love, compassion, and a little empathy for one another around us, and we will see the betterment of those. So Spike is definitely a one of a kind guy. I mean, I don't know anyone else named Spike, so definitely one of a kind of guy. Yeah. But the way that he speaks to people, the way he conveys a message, I mean, there's no question as to why he has the support that he does and why he's loved and adored by people across the spectrum, left, right, center, and libertarian.
Yeah. Man, this turned into like a Spike love fest. That's weird. We gotta switch.
Yeah, no.
right.
So cyberbully Spike. If Spike does not like dad jokes, so feel free, if you guys are in the audience, just go ahead and tag him in some of your dad jokes, because you gotta knock that ego down a little bit.
And don't forget to wish him a happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, send him those DMs. I think you commented on his wall for that one. I sent him a direct message right after that into his inbox, so he would have to eventually filter to it. I just got no.
I got something similar. It was like, no, stop doing this, please.
Yeah.
And then I was like, love you, Dad. And he was like, okay, but still, no.
It's always fun. You should always cyberbully the ATF and all the 3-letter agencies, but you should also cyberbully Spike Cohen. You're gonna get a response from Spike Cohen, and that's what makes it all worthwhile.
Yes. He really is just like, I mean, he really is just like the dad figure. You know, it's just like significantly more fun to annoy him than most other people.
Oh yeah, and when you hit dad with a dad joke, and dad is mad about the dad joke, even better. But yes, so I think we've balanced the scales there of loving and cyberbullying Spike.
Yes.
But yes.
So tell people how they can get involved with You Are the Power and start doing awesome stuff and bringing people like you and Spike out to their city council meetings to harass their legislators.
You know, it's a hefty fine of absolutely free to go onto youarethepower.net, sign up for a free membership. This is going to get you to be able to get connected with a regional coordinator. This is going to get you connected with people across the country, and specifically in your region, even in your state, even in your county, even potentially even into your city, to where you can find like-minded people who are here to make a difference. And you know, once you're a part of that, you know, the council is going to be working through and trying to find as many events and causes and stuff like that we can work on, but we're not the catch-all. This is a thing of everybody. We are an absolute grassroots network. So if you find something and you're like, hey, I think that this is something worthwhile, send that to us. You can always send everything to thecouncil@youarethepower.net. Send us an email, drop us a line. You can always reach out to Spike on his social medias. I'm sure everyone can find those, Spike Cohen, or at Real Spike Cohen. Send him a message. We've got people standing by waiting to see those things. We're gonna go through and push those. But it's not just a matter of being a part of the network that's gonna be like the big sale for you guys. I know for me, like when I think about, do I really want to be a part of an organization? Do I really want to sign up for a newsletter? Do I really want to have more things come into my inbox? Or do I just want another label of what organization I'm tied with? It's more than just a network of people. We are also doing trainings of teaching people about good activism, of good messaging, of how to bring your ideas to people across the spectrum, how to, you know, knock down those cognitive defenses of people, so that way your ideas can be heard and people can work in unison with one another. So there's stuff for you personally, but there's also things for you in your community. So head on over to youarethepower.net, sign up today. Like I said, it's free. If after you've been there for a while, I don't recommend that anyone just sign up and then just start paying, because there are paid memberships. You can do those, and there's perks to those, of course. Sign up for free. Figure out, hang out with us for a month or two, and then if you're like, you know, this is a cause I believe in, you guys are doing good things, go ahead. If you can flex $5 a month, $10 a month, a bajillion dollars a month, I don't know what number you want to throw out there, but whatever you can throw that's not going to hurt you, if you want to throw it towards the cause, you're going to help get Spike out to more events. You're going to help the team be able to put a little more time and effort into all these causes. You're going to be able to help. You're going to truly be the power behind You Are the Power. And I think that's one of the most liberating things you can go through. So youarethepower.net, sign up today.
Fuck yeah. You heard him. Do it. Right now. Like, you can keep listening to this in a different tab while you go over and sign up right now. Yeah, I mean, I've already said this a couple times, but like, I'm really stoked about some of the stuff that's going on. I have the blessing of being business partners with my regional director, so I get to talk to them quite often, and we're planning some really fun stuff up here in New York. So if you guys are watching from around here, definitely get in touch. Tom Pinkasov is your regional director, and I should be having another regional director on the show in a couple of weeks, down from like the Texas, Oklahoma area, Caitlin, whose last name I do not remember off the top of my head.
You asked and I forgot it. No, that's fantastic. And Tom is a good guy. He's another one of those guys I like to cyberbully. So don't put us in the same room or you'll see all kinds of bullying going on. It's a good time. It's all brotherly love. But no, I can't speak highly enough of everybody a part of this organization right now. And you know, I can't speak for people in the future because you guys are signing up. No, I'm just kidding. But but you know, everybody here is interested in seeing a brighter future, and everyone here is trying to make that brighter future happen. And so a lot of people are getting creative with like different events going on. So, you know, like you said, you and Tom are coming together and creating some pretty cool ideas of things for people just to connect with and to engage with. And I think that's fantastic. You know, regardless of what part of the country you're reaching or you're seeing this episode from, I can speak highly of whoever your regional is. I can speak highly of people who will be in your area. The worst thing that you could do, and it would still be fantastic, is sign up, become a member, figure out who these people are, add them on Facebook, and then be like, you know, I'm more than not interested in You Are the Power. That's the worst thing that you could do, and it would still be a huge benefit to your life. So at a minimum, sign up today. But it's one of the most crazy things that I see. And when I talk about grassroots organizations, is that they all sound the same when you hear them. We're a network of grassroots activists, and we're going to make a big monolithic change. And they have no successes. And we're here to help teach you guys and to help work with you guys and to help give you guys the opportunities to be warriors in your own community, to seek about change. And we already have successes about this. And Tom is one of those guys. He's picked up a couple stories out there in New York, and you're still in New York, correct?
Yeah.
So, you know, Tom has picked up a couple stories up there, and so I mean, this just shows you like the aggressiveness of the people in our community. That we're going to pick this up, we're going to champion this, and we're going to see some differences made. So it's been fantastic.
Yeah.
Sorry, I took you off. I took it off on the tangent.
Oh, you're fine. I love it when my guests go off on the tangent of how awesome the project they're working on is, because like I feel like that's the main point of the show, is to get the people watching excited. And if you're as excited as you are, it makes my job a lot easier. But
I'll try to tone it down. I forgot what that guy's name was. The clear eyes is awesome. I'll tone it down like for that and see what we do.
So I did want to touch a little bit on the like kind of top down, bottom up structure that you guys have there, because I find it really interesting, and I think it's a lot different from like what you were just describing. A lot of times it's a couple of people at the top that have an idea, and all they're really doing is just like grabbing a bunch of grunts underneath them to carry out their life mission, or it's just a clusterfuck of a bunch of like it looks like the Libertarian Party is pretty much the opposite end of the spectrum, where it's just like 87 different smaller organizations that all share the same name and are doing drastically different things and hate each other and don't work together and ruin everybody's mindset of what this organization might be. And it's tough to find a nice middle ground. And I think you guys are doing a fairly good job at that, or at least really trying to find that nuanced middle ground. So I know that you have the council and you have the people up top that are doing some of the stuff, but you guys also really encourage just like anybody to go out there and do something that will help under the banner of You Are the Power. So I wonder if you could kind of explain, I know the kind of vetting of that is mostly your job. So how does that part work?
So fantastic. I mean, that's some high IQ questions right here. The idea, so I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, and it just happens to fit with this. If we look at it as a basic spectrum of right versus left, the right seems to be a very decentralized the right advocates for very decentralized entities, right? Mm-hmm. Typically, they want things to be separated, more local, which is fantastic. But then you look at their organizations, and they're very centralized in the way that they function. You see a lot of that, just as you described. It's a couple people at the top just telling everybody down below exactly how to run things. But then you look on the left side of the spectrum, and the left arguably has been much more successful in the way that they can make political movements, right? We've seen a lot more of the push to the left than we have to the right, culturally speaking, in America over time. And what they do is, while they advocate for centralizing of everything, they have this very decentralized methodology of making things work. And so one of the I can't speak to the planners of You Are the Power and how much of this was a concerted effort, but with Spike at the helm of it, you got to think that this was something that he thought through and thought that this was the right way. But taking the idea of what's coming from the top going down is, first of all, we have to be working from an empathetic point of view, and Spike has been big on empathy for a long time. If you are not reaching people on an emotional level, you're not reaching them at all, because nobody cares what you know until they know how much you care. And working towards the mission and the vision of what You Are Power seeks to do, and that is to empower people to make real change in their communities, to see a betterment of their lives, to empower themselves and the people around them so that they can reach up to their potential. With working with both of those things, you push that down to everybody, and you say, how can you embolden in that? And then you have the decentralized of, you guys take those two things and you run with it. Where can this be applied in your life, in your community? Send that back to us and let us help you. So it's an incredible amount of leadership that's coming from the top, where it is, I trust you, I love you, I support you, I know that you're going to do great things. Keep it in line with this, and I got your back 8 days a week. And then down at the bottom, they go, wait a minute, Spike loves us? The council supports us? The regional coordinators has my back? And they go, I can do this. Mm-hmm. And they go, look at this story. This story is of a man who is 78 years old, who is terminally ill, laying in a bed, cannot get out of the bed, and the police come and they destroy his cannabis, and they threaten him, and they subpoena him to go to court, and they say, if you can't go to court, then we're gonna throw you in jail. This man can't walk. And so they send that up, and they're like, can we do something? And it's like, yeah, we can do something. And so we have this beautiful mesh of top down of, here's the first principle that we're working from, and you have the bottom up where everybody is valued, everybody's respected, and everybody's cared for because you're part of this family, you're a part of this movement, you're a part of our network. And it's just the most beautiful serendipitous thing you could ever imagine. I love watching our community.
Yeah, I think having somebody like Spike at the helm, where he does bring like that name recognition and the media and other things to it, definitely strengthens the mission too. Because it's like, you know, you're empowering people to do this on their own, but also giving them the opportunity to like have the presidential or vice presidential bronze medalist come and speak at their city council and you know, curse out their mayor or something, you know, like that's something that no other organization, at least at this stage, can really offer. Because a lot of times, even if it is a super genuine, empathetic, like grassroots movement, it's people like you and me going in and talking, and it's you know, really grimy, bottom up building that kind of name recognition before you can even really accomplish anything. Where we have Spike in the arsenal to like actually scare politicians and cyberbully them into deleting their accounts and stuff.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
So much.
It's fantastic to see Spike do his thing because you know, I love Spike for running for vice president, but that's not his biggest achievement really. Or not his biggest flex. His biggest flex is that he's a frequent flyer on Fox News. His biggest flex is that, you know, he's got well over 200,000 unique followers across platforms. His biggest flex is that he has people who listen to his message, and while they initially come in and they disagree, they read his message, and he has a way of reaching them and changing their minds. And I get to see this all the time. And so, you know, Spike running on the platform of vice president and being the bronze medalist, that just emboldened a lot of the stuff that was happening. Of course, that was the springboard that got him onto Fox News and everything else. But you're absolutely right. Having him in the arsenal to go, your county council's not listening. Well, they can't not listen to this guy. This guy's going to, you know, turn heads and turn ears, and he's going to bring the media with him. He's going to bring, you know, his social media followers. He's going to cyberbully people into deleting their accounts, as you referenced, into violating the First Amendment and Supreme Court opinions by blocking and deleting comments. He's cornering representatives across this country, and they're stuck in a position where they have to listen to him. And it's been absolutely incredible. It's incredibly empowering. And just for, I've already spoken with a couple causes and a couple people, and just talking to them and being like, hey, you know, we're here to help. So here's what we have in plan. Here's what we would like to do. And, you know, push comes to shove, you know, we may be able to get Spike out here to help you out. And just, you can hear it in their voices. If you're on a phone call, you can hear it in their voices of just them feeling the relief of like, the cavalry is here for us. And the cavalry is not here just to come in, stampede over things, and to leave you in its wake. But when Spike and You Are the Power comes in, like, we come in, we help break down those walls that are in your way of your potential, but then we help you find ways to build up those new walls, to help protect yourself and to help provide for yourselves. And so it's incredibly powering from every aspect. That's why I appreciate you having me on to talk about this organization. It's definitely, it's like my biggest passion. So it's just incredible.
Yeah, I like that you specifically said that the cavalry is not here to just like stampede over everything and leave, because I feel like a lot of people that are in a similar position to Spike, like say like an Al Sharpton or somebody like that, who, you know, it's I don't know how Spike will appreciate me comparing him to Al Sharpton, but you know, somebody that's main mission is just to like come in after something bad happens and fight for the people that something bad happened to. 9 times out of 10, if you're watching one of those stories, he might get the media to focus on the thing, but once the news cycle is over, so is his involvement in the thing. And I mean, there's a bunch of like personal issues with him too. Like he's not the good guy that Spike is, but like that's the case with a lot of these types of organizations. If you are promising some kind of star power, it's going to be a one-off. They're not really going to care that much, and they're just going to be like on to the next thing after they got their little TV moment. And you're using these people for the media and for the spotlight and for the attention instead of actually helping them at all. I don't know of anybody else with the credentials that Spike has that would have gone to the same city council the amount of times that he was in Gastonia.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not a thing. And you guys fight until the situation is over, not just until the media frenzy dies down or the social media frenzy dies down. Like, you're still there. And I think that's one of the biggest differences that You Are the Power has.
Definitely. And so to give like your viewers a description, imagine you're sitting in a small caged cell, and somebody comes in, Al Sharpton comes in, breaks down that wall. Great. You don't have that wall anymore. He got the publicity, he's got the photo op, he's like, yeah, I broke down that wall, and then he moves on with his day. Yeah. What are you gonna do? You now just don't have a wall there. Like, sure, you have freedom to go do what you want to do, but what's your point of direction? Like, what are you going to do from there? And you know, just as you said, Spike and You Are the Power, we're here to help get you back on the right path. You know, with Pastor Moses, I already talked about that. We weren't just trying to say, hey, you know, let's open your doors, have a good day of here's some food from people, and let's make this a fundraising thing and throw you a couple bucks. No, it was like, hey, we want to invest in your community. And so let's bring these trailers in so that we're not doing a timed event, we're doing a timeless event where we are going to empower everybody who comes through to see you now. And we want to help influence and help change and brighten the futures of everyone there. You know, I gave a speech this last year in Brevard County, and it was just that. I was talking about people with labels, you know, because many of us have this problem that we label somebody else. Those of us in politics, we might label someone a Republican or a Democrat or a Republican or a Libertarian or an anarchist or a classical liberal. We may label somebody an alcoholic, an addict, a homeless person. Mm-hmm. But I think that, you know, when it comes to those latter ones, there's something that needs to be reconciled with. In that when we're judging somebody for those things, what we don't realize is that they have the potential to have better days ahead of them. And so we can't judge a man by his worst days for the rest of his days, but we can work with them in order to help build up those days and build up the opportunity for them to have great days ahead of them, because that person can make a large impact in their communities. Because it rarely ever is the person with the silver spoon in their mouth growing up to be great things and to help out their communities. No, it's the people that have been through hardships, that have been through struggle. And I know I can't name a single person that I know in the liberty movement that hasn't had some kind of major struggle in their life. There are great things with people who have been through struggle that can empathize with one another who've struggled. And so giving this an opportunity, a platform, you know, we're here to break down those walls, get you freedom, and then help you see the freedom become a part of your life and to help give you that potential back.
Hell yeah. I'm loving this episode. This is so easy too. Like, we're just talking about something we're both passionate about. It makes for a really easy interview.
But I mean, I better get a pay raise for this or something, because I mean, no, I'm not even doing this for the money. Like, I truth be told, I'm a volunteer, right? I'm doing this because I love this, and you're doing this because you love this, and we're all doing this because we love.
Oh no, I'm here for the money.
And okay, all right. Well, everyone, go and subscribe to David Fight for Liberty on all of your favorite podcast platforms. But you know, like we do this. I don't know about you, but I hate politics. I hate the fight. I hate the struggle of murking through like dumb ideas. But I love to see people be better. I love to see the goodness in people. And this is what this organization has allowed for me to be a part of, to see a difference and to see people be better. I couldn't be happier. You know how they commonly there's the question of, would you rather make $1 million or and struggle, like emotionally struggle, or would you rather make $10,000 and be happy with your life? I'm fine with $5,000. I'm fine with $1,000. I'm fine with doing this for free because, God damn, it feels so good to see people live a better life. If I could, I want to give you a quick story. So we go down to Gastonia for the fundraiser for Pastor Moses. And I showed up a little bit early because I wanted to help set up, clean up if needed, you know, prep, do whatever it was that Pastor Moses needed in order to make sure that this day was as successful as possible. And so I'm standing around there, and Pastor Moses he's talking to us. We're getting to know him a little bit, and people are sleeping in tents right outside. Some of them are hanging out next to a campfire. Some of them are smoking down the way. There's a couple people in a trailer. There's people down by the river. I mean, there's just people all around, just hanging out, not really having much go on. It's a Saturday. And we get to know all of these people. And there was one gentleman there, and I was like, hey, man. And struck up a conversation. I was like, what's the biggest thing that you could use right now? What's your biggest need? And he looked down at his shoes, and he was wearing an old pair of Nike slides, and he had socks on that you could basically see through. And I was like, what size do you wear, man? And he was like, I wear size 13s. It's like, okay. My plan was after this event, I was going to drive down to the store. I was going to find me a nice pair of shoes. All right, I'm doing what people on social media say not to. I was going to brag about donating a pair of shoes to this guy that was in need. He needed a pair of size 13 pair of shoes. And I wouldn't care. He wouldn't care. I just wanted to get him something. And so we have this event. Great event, great turnout. I think the number was like 40 or 50, maybe 60 people came through that day. Some for the fundraising, some for in need. And, you know, so we were happy to be able to feed all of them. I believe the man who had donated all the lasagnas that day was named, I think it was Mike Ross. So we're standing out back, and everyone's kind of chit-chatting as many libertarians do. And we notice a truck pull up into the parking lot. And the truck had a trailer behind it. And so the truck pulls up, and this was the Ministry of Misfits. Sanctuary Misfits. Misfits Sanctuary. Damn, I apologize to you, the viewers. I don't remember the exact name. It was Misfits, Sanctuary of Misfits, or something to that effect. But anyways, this truck pulls up, and they had military surplus gear in their boxes.
Oh, wow.
And so they had jackets, they had parkas, they had pants, they had, you know, shirts, they had everything. And I watched this man walk past in his slides, and he walks over to him, and out comes the pair of boots, and they hand it to him. Dude was on cloud 9. Like, I got to see this guy's, like, the one thing that he had asked for, that he said would change his life the most right in that moment. I got to see him see those boots become his reality. That's life-changing. Like, yeah, it's a humbling experience, and it's so incredible to see people just go out there and do these things for others. So that specifically wasn't You Are the Power, but that's what You Are the Power can do and has done and will continue to do.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I like you mentioned earlier about we're not trying to break anybody's bank or anything like that. I think it's a pretty like widely known thing at this point because it's just been so popular with like GoFundMe's and other things like that. But it is very easy for a bunch of broke people to fund something amazing if there's enough of them. Like $5 a million times over is a fuck ton of money. Like I think that realization is more common now than, you know, it used to be before the rise of all of this, like kind of social media and, you know, Cash App funding people's lives and stuff like that. But it's still something that not a lot of people seem to like really click with, that stuff like this, that entire families' lives can be changed, that entire towns can be changed by a bunch of fucking broke people from across the country deciding to give up $5. I'm having David Dadman Gray on the show in a couple of weeks to talk about almost exactly that with Liberty memes.
Yes, Liberty
like,
5 clubs.
Yeah. So that's it's an amazing thing that we're finally like really doing as the Liberty movement. I think what's really exciting about stuff like You Are the Power or Liberty memes or a couple of other things like it is, like you mentioned earlier, the kind of the cavalry's coming feeling that didn't really used to exist with the Liberty movement really at all. You know, there was, like I mentioned earlier, there's just like 87 different organizations all kind of spinning out into their own, and you would try to like, hey, this is a cool thing that we should all like be involved in. You know, you would see like a police brutality video go viral or something, and I would message a bunch of people and be like, what do we do about this? And it was just a lot of, I don't fucking know. And you know, it just,
you know what the
time.
answer was? I'm gonna call those people out that you called out in their DMs. You said, what can we do about this? And they were like, end the Fed. It's like, okay, what can we tangibly do?
Right,
we can end the Fed. It's like, okay. Do you have any other ideas? And the ATF. It's like, that one wasn't relevant for this one, but I agree. But like can we like please? That's been the long-standing struggle. Is that so many people are so attached to their ideology that they forget that we live in the real world, that we have to be able to give real world solutions for people, and that we can work through those, and we can empower people, and we can teach people, and we can work with people, we can network with people, we can build with people, and that we collectively can change this, your county, your city, your street, your state, your country. We can do this together, and you know, that's, you know, I appreciate all the credit you're giving to You Are the Power, but it's true. It's we can make that difference because we're going, hey, let's help.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I genuinely feel like, and I don't know if I would have been able to articulate it at the time, but the majority of the reason that I started trying to become famous, for lack of a better word, with like the podcast and the Twitter account and everything, and actually like caring about how many people follow me and how popular I am, was because I wanted to get to a place where I could call the cavalry myself with a tweet. Yeah, I wanted to be in a place like Spike is right now, where, you know, you can send out a tweet of like, hey, this shit's happening in this town and the case is this day and we're gonna pack the courtroom, and actually have people show up. And like, you know, the couple thousand followers I have right now aren't doing that, but you know, we're growing and we're getting there. And honestly, like something like You Are the Power, if it existed in 2019 when I started the show, I might not have done a lot of the stuff that I have done to try to either build or join groups like this, if there was already a group that I liked that was doing it. So I'm excited about this, and like, I don't know, it just seems like it's making my life a little bit easier, because I have that ability, like you were saying, to just find something that matters, that fits into the first principles of the organization, and then like actually have a couple dozen people and possibly Spike show up and do a thing. Like, that's something that we just haven't really had in our arsenal ever.
Yeah.
There was never like, I can't call up Bill Weld and have him show up to something, or like none of the other VP candidates that I know or remember. I'm not calling up Bill Barr or even Gary Johnson isn't showing up to shit. Like,
you can't even really do it for any of the pundits on any of the media either. Like, there's really is no one out there like Spike. And I've got another personal story for you guys, because this one's kind of funny. I went down, Matt Wright got married this last year, and down in Florida. And Florida has this weird law at this apartment complex that my brother-in-law was living in, where visitors can't park in visitor parking. And how I found this out was I parked in visitor parking because I was a visitor. And so I got towed. So the night before the wedding, my car got towed. And
I didn't realize that. I didn't know, like, realize the time thing there.
Yes. The night before, I was about 2 hours away. So we wanted to stay with the in-laws, or the brother-in-law, so that my daughters can spend time with them. And they were going to take them to like Disney or something for that day. But so we stayed there that night. I literally walked in with one load of stuff, brought it into the house, went to the bathroom, came back out to the car, and my car was towed. Literally like a snap job. This guy was probably like the NASCAR pit crew of tow jobs. Tows the car. It was in visitor parking. I was like, what the so we fight through, we get the car back, and I had to pay an exorbitant amount of money for that. I think it was like $200 almost. And so we go down for the wedding, and I'm standing there, and the wedding goes off without a hitch, and me and Spike are standing there afterwards. And I was like, yeah, man, it really sucks that happened today. He's like, wait a minute, that was you? I was like, yeah, that was me. I was the only one that was parked way the hell out there. And he was like, oh. So he like pulls out his phone and just was like, what was the name of this company? And I gave him the name, and so he just like and types up a message on Facebook, posts a review, and was like, yeah, you stole my friend's car from could you no, it was because Spike is all cordial and very compassionate when he sends a message. Excuse me, sir, madam. If you could please explain to me, my friends Kelsey Lyon and Jason Lyon both had their car seems to be towed from visitor parking. If you could please explain how that's ethical, moral, or just. And then, like, literally 10 minutes later, there's like 15 other comments or other reviews of people going like, you steal people's cars from the visitor parking. I was like,
I am one of those reviews.
It's incredible. It's such an amazing feeling. And it happens because when we go out there and we talk about these causes, people see us talk about these causes. They become influenced. They become mobilized. They become motivated to come out there and mimic what we're doing. Mm-hmm. So, your motivations, I'm glad that you got on board. I'm glad that You Are the Power wasn't started up back then, because I'm glad to see you doing this. You're bringing an activist base that we may never have touched. But this is why, like, we take good people that are doing good things and working on good causes, and we build with them, so that way, no matter where we're going, we're always finding new great people that we can build with, and we can make a difference. So I'm glad that you started off this thing, man.
Yeah, and there's no shortage of those great people. I'm finding, like, I thought that I had most of, at least the like upper echelon of the liberty movement, like, in my Twitter circle. And just in the last like 2 weeks, I've followed at least 1.5 to 2 dozen new accounts that I'd never heard of before, with like 50,000 plus followers. Yeah. Of like big people that like I've just never heard of. And I just keep finding more and more people who are out there preaching the good message and doing good things and getting a fairly large following off of it, and being successful in it. And I don't know, I just kind of, you get to a place in this movement where you assume that you've seen it all, that there's only 1% of the country that falls into this circle, and most of them were in Reno. I mean, I wasn't, but that's beside the.
No, I was
kind of
I was
assume. You just kind of assume that if you've made it to 30 or more state conventions across the country, you've probably met all the libertarians in the country, and that's just the end of it. But it's not true, like, at all. There are so many more of us, and so many like quiet hidden libertarians, and so many libertarians that just don't know that they're libertarians yet, or that knew that they were, realized the party and the movement wasn't for them, and wanted to go actually live libertarianism instead of whatever bullshit authoritarian statist crap that the LP is. It's like, and I'm not shitting on the party there. I'm just shitting on the entire thought process of electing ourselves into freedom.
Before you progress on, when I was brought into the party, the argument that I gave to not joining the party was, I am an individual fighting for individualism, so I need to join the collective in order to fight for the individualism.
Yep.
I don't think you thought this through all the way. But it makes sense now. You just got to worry about which collectivism you join into, or which collective you join into.
Yeah. I think one of the things I've realized is that you can't escape collectivism. So, like, you're going to be stereotyped and collectivized into a bunch of different groups that you cannot control, whether it's your hair color or skin color or something like that, to a whole bunch of groups that you can control but don't really feel like it in that way, like your job or family or something like that. And then just a bunch of other personal decisions you make, you're going to get collectivized. So it's better to just pick yourself where you're going to fall and just spew so much bullshit about that collectivism that no one can really say that you're anything else. Like, nobody's calling me a Kyle because I'm a like skinny white boy that used to drink a lot of Monster, because they were calling me a Ron Paul. They were too busy collectivizing me into a different nerd group. And I don't know, I've kind of taken that trajectory into adulthood and doubled down on it and just been like, I'm going to be this person, and you can try to fit me into whatever box you want, but I'm going to be loud enough about who I really am that most people around you are going to realize you're full of shit if you try to tell them that I'm a racist or a white supremacist or any of these other things.
Yeah. No, I love confusing the hell out of people. Because, like, you look at my shirt and you're like, all right, he's got like he could be a hipster, he could be a redneck. He's got a beard, so he could be a hipster, he could be a redneck. He's got his hair to the side, probably
Definitely
a hipster.
hipster.
He's got the gauges, he's probably a hipster. I've tattoos, definitely a hipster. And then it's just like, what do you do? I don't do much. Like, I'm not trying to be trendy. I don't care about trends. They're like, oh, so you must be a redneck then. Are you conservative? It's like, oh, so you must be a liberal. You must be like you must be like, what was that? It was the redneck liberal or whatever it was on YouTube. There was a guy. And he was like, you must be like one of them, trying to act like you're a conservative just so you could sell the liberal progressive stuff. And it's like, no, I'm just literally me.
I like the way my hair looks like that.
I like my tattoos. I mean, look at that. That's a 10-year-old tattoo. Like, that's beautiful. Like, who wouldn't want that on their arm? Yeah. I like my gauges. I like having a giant, luscious, beautiful beard, the best one that you've ever had on your show. I'm going to give myself that crown. But, like, I just vibe out and enjoy it.
I'm trying to think of who...
fact check me.
I was just trying to think of who would even be in the running to compete with you on that one.
No one. Second to none, bud. Second to none. But it's just like, I like being who I am. If most of the time I'm either wearing like athletic shoes or I'm wearing like my Justin cowboy boots. Like, or I'm wearing my slides. But like, just vibe out and do what I want to do. I wear shorts all the time, and people are like, what the hell is that? I'm like, I'm Alaskan, leave me alone. I'm the weirdest mutt you've ever met. And then they're like, all right, well, let me try and define you politically. And I stopped saying I'm an anarchist. I stopped saying I'm a libertarian. I just kind of like, oh, all right, well, I'll let you decide. Like, oh, well, you stand for criminal justice reform. You must be a liberal. And it's like, no, I just want a system that's, if law enforcement's going to be there, I want them to be accountable, transparent, and work in favor of us.
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I just want certificate of need laws ended. Oh, well, you must be, I don't even know what that is to be able to define you. It's like, perfect. I don't like monopolies. Oh, well, then you must be a conservative. No, I just want cheaper, more affordable health care for everybody. Oh, you're a progressive. It's like, yes, I love you. You have no idea what you're fighting against. So just talk about the ideas.
I have a fun story on this topic, just a super short one. I was in a little Twitter back and forth the other day that amused the ever-loving shit out of me, because the post was it was a Ford Fisher video from the like drag queen Christmas thing that was being protested, and so like he was taking videos of the protesters and counter protesters, and I commented because the drag queen story hour for that specific occasion, at least, it became 18 and up, which is what most people complain about with all of the drag queen shit, is that it's kids. So I just commented, if they made it 18 and up, then what's the problem? Why were there protesters there? And not a whole bunch of comments, but quite a few people either agreeing with me or dogpiling on me. Or, I mean, Ford actually answered my question with a clip of like one of the protesters explaining it, which was kind of fair. He was kind of, we got to keep the pressure on them to like keep going. Otherwise, this will be a one-off where they gave us what we wanted and just keep going. I'm like, okay, fair, whatever. But there was somebody who was just like assuming that I was a part of one of the two groups, and it took 2 or 3 tweets for me to figure out which side of the protest she thought I would have been on if I was there, because she was like, oh, you like anarchist whatever, and I just assume, okay, you think I'm some like right-winger libertarian like whatever, and then I get 2 more tweets down and she's assuming that I was part of the counter protest against the protest and defending the drag queen story hour. And I'm like, I really don't care about this argument on either side. Like, why are you? But it was so amusing because she was going off on me and I defended myself. And then she was like, well, no, I'm saying this thing. And it was super great.
I realize this is way off topic for you or the power, but I've also got a drag queen story hour real quick. So we had a drag queen story hour coming down and doing that at one of our public libraries, and so the conservatives caught wind of this. I live in Trump country, up in the northwest part of South Carolina. And so the conservatives caught wind of this, and so they brought their protesters, and then the counter protesters were out there, and so we're coming out there. It's a rainy day. It was like a Saturday morning, rainy day. You've got the big group of conservatives that are like, just this is the worst thing ever to happen to this world, and you got the liberals on the other side going, you guys are the worst thing to ever happen to this world. And so there was a band of, I think we had like 8 or 9 libertarians that were like, let's go check this out. And so we couldn't stand with either group, but they only made 2 groups because it's like you have to have that dichotomy and you have to have that divide between the two. And so like the other libertarians were like, hey, which side can we stand on, because we oppose them and we oppose them. And officers were like, I've never had this happen before. So eventually they were standing on the side of the counter protesters, but away from the counter protesters so that they could yell at them. And then they had to go over to the protester side and then yell at them. And it was interesting on their part. And I'm like walking around finding the organizers, and I'm like, hey, what's your thoughts on this? Let me boil this down for you guys, because let's see where we can find common ground. And it was just the most interesting thing ever, just because people were so stuck in that one versus the other side. And it's just like, there's so much more of the conversation that we're missing. And I think that that's to wrap that back in the best segue possible, that's what You Are the Power is here for. Not for the simple one side or the other side, but to give people a realization that there's another power out there, and that it's you, because you are the power. .net. Free membership sign up today.
Seconded. Go sign up. I've already said it. Do it again. If you already did it, do it for your mom. Sign her up too.
It's not like voting. You won't get in trouble for signing up more than once.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you get in trouble with voting anymore, but that's
depends on the county. It's fine.
Right. Oh man. But yeah, one of the things that does also excites me about You Are the Power. I'm going to use that word way too much in this episode. I'll have to go back through and like count how many times I said the word excite. It's like at least 15 now. Is like that originally when Spike was talking about it, it was going to be like completely non-political and just like community driven. But I've noticed that it's moved a little bit over into the political, just where, you know, he will like talk on bills and like has been talking to like representatives and state legislatures and stuff like that. But it's still very much outside of any type of electoralism or party anything, or, you know, any Democrat or Republican, even if they fully believe that their party is right and good and needs to win, could be a part of You Are the Power successfully and do great things. Yes. And not feel like they're being slighted or cheated or supporting their enemies or anything like that. I mean, sure, there might be some stuff that you disagree with us on. You might not love that Spike hates the ATF as much as he does, but like, if you're a good Democrat that actually cares about people and wants to see like homeless people get helped, then you're probably not really going to care that much about Spike cyberbullying the ATF while he's also cyberbullying the people that are harassing these homeless people. Like, as long as there's enough of the good, I feel like you can look past pretty much any of the, well, I kind of disagree with you there within the organization, because the organization itself isn't doing too much of that, you know, hyper political stuff. It's a nice middle ground there.
There's a great quote that I've gotten from one of the organizations I worked for in the past, and that was a quote by Frederick Douglass. I'll work with anyone to do right and no one to do harm. And taking that philosophy of, when we find common ground with people, we're not selling our principles to work with people. We're not selling our value. We're not selling our souls. We're not doing any of that stuff. We are saying these are where we align. This is our mission, right? One of those 2 first principles that get sent down to everybody. If you align with these principles on this aspect, we will work with you. It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. And that's the most important thing. We do have people within the RLC in our ranks. We have people within the Republican Party within our ranks. We have people, I'm sure, within the Democrat Party within our ranks. We truly are just out here for the cause, for the mission, and for the changing and the betterment of our communities. And that shows. And I think that's why You Are the Power is going to outlast a lot of these other organizations. And on top of that, we have the 501c4 and the 501c3 status. And so, you know, if people are looking for a good place to you know, save some money on their taxes and they want to make a hefty donation, you know, You Are the Power will always accept those and put those towards a great cause. I mean, you know, with most of the people being on a voluntary basis and with a couple of people making just a couple bucks, I mean, truly not making anything at all. Most of the money, I would say, probably argue about 95% of the money that comes in is going towards the logistics of making things happen for these community events, for getting people out there, for being able to get hotel rooms, for food and things like that. No one's getting an extravagant life off of this. We're putting it towards these causes because these are the passions that are driving us to be a part of this. And we of course are going to be absolutely fiscally responsible as much as possible with every penny that comes in. But if you guys want to use that tax credit stuff, 501c3.
There you go. Yeah, I think that's one of the other things that like the LP has been missing for a while is enough C3s to really like absorb that that access money from the few people that have it within the movement. And a lot of the the other two parties are mostly funded off of like a few millionaires and billionaires that give gigantic sums to a dozen different organizations every year just to stay under a certain threshold on their taxes. That's what funds like the entirety of like Fight for 15 or Medicare for All or stuff like that. It's ironic, but it's pretty much all billionaires.
Yeah,
we have
wealthy
people in the movement that could give into these avenues. We just really didn't give them good avenues to give to. Like most of the things are PACs or C4s or like county affiliates, things that you can't get a write-off for.
Or just like a startup that like really doesn't have a trajectory, doesn't really have a mission. They're just like, hey, give us money. And then they're like, why aren't you guys giving us money? And it's like, yeah, I think that's one of the biggest missed opportunities for a lot of libertarians out there is that they say, because I have an idea, the idea is good. And that's like our first market principle is like, hey, there's going to be plenty of ideas out there that aren't good and things are going to fail. Things are going to crash. And you can't just stand there and go, but mine was supposed to be the one destined. And it's just like, no, there's no destined when it comes to these things. Either A, you become corrupt and you work within the power structure and it shields you and provides for you. Or B, you struggle, you force it, you bring the market into yourselves and you sell your products to others and people continue to buy from you. When it comes to something like a 501c3 or nonprofit or a network like what we have here, it is a matter of us having those good events and having those good causes and having a good turnout and having people be engaged. Those are the things that donors are looking at. People don't have large sums of money by making bad decisions. And so they're not going to donate and pledge their funds and support things that aren't good decisions themselves. We have to prove to them that they are going to be those good decisions. And so, that's the thing that like a lot of libertarians are missing out on. And I think that truly is one of those things that You Are the Power is going to be able to show people a blueprint of how to be successful. Because this is the most holistic organization that I've seen start up that's just cared about every angle of how it's being portrayed, and it's incredible to work for them. And I think it really does come down to just the experience of a lot of people in the higher echelon, the core team there, just with their experiences across the way of working on different organizations and campaigning and everything else, just the wisdom of decades of experience. It's just truly something moving.
Yeah, it is, to your point, it is a little bit weird to see a group of people like almost solely focused on free markets and capitalism so much not understand what a free market looks like, because there is no guaranteed success in a free market. It doesn't exist. The better ideas win out and the worse ideas fail. And if you have the worst idea, it should fail. You should want it to fail. You should not want a bad idea to succeed just because it was yours. I've had so many bad ideas that I'm so glad they didn't go anywhere. Like, I don't even want to get into that. There have been plenty of startups that almost happened. There's LLCs out there that exist that shouldn't. Like,
yeah, no, I so many of my shower ideas, I'm like, that's a great idea. And I get out of the shower and I'm like, I'm glad that I couldn't have started that idea while I was in the shower.
Yeah, very much so. So before we wrap up, I want to give you a chance to tell people about the show and what you guys do over at Muddied Waters and Mr. Bearded Truth.
Yeah, so if you guys are looking for a platform where you can learn more about different topics, specific topics such as, civil asset forfeiture, certificate of need laws, specific legislation, or hearing from experts on different fields, with wealth of experience and knowledge, or if you're just looking for some trainers. That's kind of has been my niche market over there on Muddy Waters Media. Of course, my show is Mr. America, the Bearded Truth. It's every Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. You guys can tune in there, have a good time with me. And then Tuesday nights, Matt Wright has Muddy Waters of Freedom, where he's going to traverse the week's events and bring to you the truth and the history of it all. So, you know, those two shows every week. Sign up, join in with us, lean into us. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Float, and Odyssey. Plenty of places where you can catch us, and of course on all of your favorite podcast apps. You can find us anywhere and everywhere. Muddied Waters of Freedom, and of course you can find myself. You can find me on the Twitter space at Mr. Bearded Truth, where I'm going to give you some decently mediocre hot takes every once in a while.
I was a really great sales pitch for following you on Twitter. Definitely.
Hey, I didn't want to be dishonest. You know, the integrity is important there.
Well, you heard him. Go on over, find Muddied Waters of Freedom and Mr. America, the Bearded Truth. Great content. It's pretty much the only podcast that I watch with any sort of regularity. Genuinely. I'll watch Rogan, and I'll watch like Russell Brand and Duncan Trussell. Like, there's those three that I watch, and then you. And like sometimes
that is incredible.
A couple of other people.
Hold on. Hold on. You had these guys are monolithic, and then you're like, and you. I'm happy to. I won't even say I'm in fourth place out of those three. I'm happy with considering myself fifth place of those three. So that's an incredible honor. I appreciate that so much, man.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest podcast guy, but you've got really great guests and ask really great questions. So
I appreciate that.
Always a fan. Especially whenever you have Hannah Cox on. You've done that one a couple times, and you guys always have like a fantastic conversation. Your last one on like criminal justice reform stuff was probably one of my favorite podcast episodes. So
Hannah's fantastic. Yeah, she's a great gal. Yeah. But
so go on over, check out that episode specifically if you want to learn about why cops suck, if you don't already know. And then come on back to Fight for Liberty tomorrow night, because we got 2 this week. Tomorrow night, we have Dan Taxationist Theft Berman, the founder of our sponsor companies and a bunch of other random stuff that he does. And we're going to have a great conversation about all of that stuff.
He's also on the council. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I think I vaguely knew that, but had very much forgotten.
Dan Berman, you're just going, you are the power. This week, tune in 2 episodes of Fight for Liberty as he just interviews a portion of the council. Stay tuned for next week to find out if we've got more from the council.
Oh man, I'm spacing on who my interview is next week. I think next week is completely non-political, if I remember correctly, and it's about finance. So that'll also be kind of fun. But Jason, thank you so much for coming on. This has been great, as always.
Thank you for having me back, man. Always an honor, always a pleasure. I'm glad I could make it to the intro video, and we'll see if I can make it part 2.
There we go. All right, guys, thanks so much for sticking around, and we will see you back here tomorrow.